What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the live reaction of Erik Ten Hag's press conference, where he's just given us updates on Kobbie Mainoo, Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, and the international break, and speaks a little bit about Brentford as well. So we'll kick things off with the Mainoo comments, because he is the kind of hot topic of the town at the minute. So we were discussing, he said about the risk of him potentially getting carried away with, his kind of meteoric rise into England's team and Manchester United's team. And he says, we've already discussed it so far. He's handled the situation very well. If he gets carried away, of course, me as a manager and we as coaches, we will intervene. Now, this is obviously something that needs managing for sure. When any 18-year-old kid gets fucking rocketed straight into, where kind of Mainoo's found himself in the England national setup, played a couple of games for them already, but then a really important figure for Manchester United as well. It needs managing. But the type of personality that he has that kind of maturity of a senior pro already, and he has very good leaders around him. He has players like Bruno Fernandes, who is constantly talking to him, constantly talking to players around him. Players coming back, who we're going to discuss in a minute, like Lisandro Martinez, who's another one who puts his arm around players and guides them in the right way. Casemiro, likewise, in the midfield. I know his legs have fallen off slightly this season, but this is still a midfielder who's been in the highest pressure situations, like World Cup semi-finals, won Champions Leagues, the biggest of tournaments and trophies and situations, and handled that pressure at Real Madrid. So he knows what he's talking about. Very experienced players. Even players like Johnny Evans in the team, who's, is obviously a bit past it now, 35 years old, but he has 17 years of senior experience, which you can't just get that in any player. So I believe he has the right players around him, he has the right coaches around him, and he has the right mentality from what I've seen anyway. He also got asked about his performances for England. Ten Hag says, I thought he was very good, but we're not surprised. We know what he's capable of. He can adapt very quickly to high levels. It looks very natural, and we're very happy for him. Now, a lot of people forget, or you probably wouldn't have forgotten now because I mentioned it so many times, but his first three performances were against Galatasaray, a Turkish ground away that's just a fucking nightmare for anyone. Goodison Park, where they just had the points deduction and the crowd was, raring and was really up for it. And then you had Anfield as well, where he started, and he didn't like it fazed him at all. So, like he said, he's very capable. He can adapt very quickly to high levels, and I think we've seen that so far. He's saying, of course, we're very proud. It's great for the Academy of United to bring up a player so young into the national team. It's a big compliment for the whole club. He wants to give his best every day because he wants to improve. He just wants to have fun on the pitch, and fun for him is to play dominant, to dictate the game, and to win the game as well. Like I said, I think a lot of people forget as well that this kid's played 15 games for United's first team. That's it. 15 games. This time last season, I'm pretty sure he was with the under-19s at the Euros. So that's how quick this rise has been. So sometimes you need to steady yourself and be like, whoa, what's going on? Because his life would have completely changed recently. Even if you go onto his... I know social media isn't everything, but even you go and look at his following now, 1.9 million, I think it is on Instagram, his life has just completely changed because he's been skyrocketed. He deserved it for sure. I believe he should go to the Euros. He should be on the plane. I think he's warranted that now after you see Conor Gallagher stinking up the place. But I'm going to do an individual video on that, which will drop over the weekend, about basically discussing the topic, are we overhyping him too much? People talking about comparing him to Paul Scholes and England's next generation for the next 10 years or whatever it was. Sometimes you just have to sit back and go, let's let him crack on, let him get some minutes under his belt. And hopefully he'll improve even more, because if he does, then that's scary, because he's unbelievable at the moment. So, yeah, obviously Kobbie Mainoo was going to be a huge talking point with that. Another point was the international break. He said it was a wonderful break. It's always good to go with a win into an international break. Definitely with such a win. Players go on international duties or in other teams, playing styles, systems. Now they return, and we have to get back to where we are. We have to get them back in our way of play, get them back in our team. Yesterday we started this process. It's a short slot, but we will be ready for tomorrow. And I always think, we discussed this on the preview yesterday, so make sure you check that out if you haven't seen it already. I always think it's interesting after an international break because of the tempo, the cohesion, the connection, whatever you want to call it, it just isn't there. It's always been a sticking point for teams, because obviously the international, for example, United players who go away with, let's say Gareth Southgate, if Maguire's playing, it's obviously going to be a different kind of defensive setup, is surrounded by different players. It's completely different in terms of how both managers want to play, Erik Ten Hag and Gareth Southgate. So You almost get into, even though you only go there for like 2 weeks or whatever it is, you almost get into like the rhythm and then habits of what that coach wants. And that's why I think there is a big kind of stray away from international football and club football, because club football is week in, week out, 2-3 games a week, repetitive, you're drilled. And that's why sometimes when they do go away, it looks all a bit fugazi and fucking random and a bit scattered, because it's players who haven't played with each other before. It's a system they're not used to, especially with Cobby, who's just fresh into it, who took like a duck to water, by the way. But that's why it's sometimes all over the place. And then especially when they come back, because they've been trying to get this new system in the head with international football, with United, it's like, right, let's try and get these habits back in and get back to where we was before we went away. But I was actually looking at our record after international break. So whenever we've come back, have we won or has it been a difficult game? In January, after the international break, we beat Newport 4-2. In November, after the break, we beat Everton 3-0 when Garnacho scored his overhead kick. We beat Sheffield in October, but I'm not sure if that was an international break or not. There was like 13 days in between, so I can't really remember, but I'm guessing it was. But we beat Sheffield 2-1 in October, and then lost to Brighton in August. So in terms of returning back from a break, regardless of whatever the injury situation, whatever it is, we've won, which is decent. Got like a 90% record or whatever the fuck that was. Don't forget as well, it's the same situation with the other team. It's not just United players who are coming off an international break. Whoever it is we're playing next, they have also had players that have gone away. Now with Brentford, I'm not sure what the situation is, because I know obviously Ivan Toney went with England. I'm guessing just the rest of the Danish national squad, because they have a lot of Danish players. So yeah, just go look at that and see who they took with them. But I imagine it was a good few players who went. On players returning for us, Ten Hag spoke about Lisandro Martinez. He said he could be part of the squad against Brentford. He also said, I expect Luke Shaw to play for us this season. We're confident. But I did see a tweet from Insider United, and anyone who follows that account knows that he's pretty legit and pretty reliable, and the stuff that he puts out usually hits. And he said Maguire and Lisandro were doubts for tomorrow, which is unfortunate. I would have thought with Leach being available for the 2-week period when he was training with Argentina and stuff, I thought he'd be raring to go and up for it. But maybe they don't want to rush him back into it. Similar situation with Mason Mount, because when we brought him back before, they've got injured again and then out for another 4 or 5 months. So maybe they want to be delicate with it. You've got the situation where we've got like Chelsea and Liverpool coming up, which are obviously more important games than Brentford. So maybe he's looking at that and they want to kind of manage it. But he said, yeah, there's a chance they're back in the squad. We've missed him every game because he brings a composure in the team, a calmness in the team, and at the same time, a winning attitude. And he can express this very clearly. He can transfer that into the team and contributes a lot to our levels. And for the way Lisandro Martinez plays, he is by far, and well, in my opinion, he's arguably our most important player. He's a leader, he's a huge miss, and if we can get him back for Chelsea and for Liverpool, he could be the difference between us winning or not. That's how big of a player he is. Just because the whole system, when you have to bring Johnny Evans in, you have to switch it up. You can't push up as high. You can't play out from the back as frequent. He's someone who can take the ball under. You can have 3 players around him and just skip past him, and that breaks the team down then. So he's mega, mega important for us. I was hoping we'd be able to watch him play, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. On Brentford, he got asked about the game last season and last year when McTominay scored them 2 goals in the 90th minute. He said, such a long time ago, it puts a marker on the mentality, culture, standards that we have to execute day by day. But it was a long time ago, so he's not comparing that performance now to where our mental space is at in a minute. He also got asked about set pieces, saying that Brentford were very good at him. But he said, listen, there's loads of teams that are good at set pieces. We just have to be ready for him. I think we've improved on him. I've seen the Liverpool game, because I think it's Arsenal and Liverpool who have the most, or scored from the most set pieces. I know Arsenal are certainly at the top, but Liverpool are right up there as well. And we managed, I don't know how many corners they had in the game in the FA Cup, but we managed them. They didn't cause any threats, really, from what I can remember. So it seems that we've improved on that. What that has to do with, I don't know. I don't know what it is. With Maguire not being available, I don't think, which is the rumour, it'd be interesting to see who they play there, because if you're going to play Lindelof in there, people may look at that as if, that's a bit of a worry, a bit of a weakness with the way Brentford play. I'm not sure. So maybe Johnny Evans will come in alongside Rafael Varane, and maybe it will be more of the game like we had against Luton, where it's kind of end-to-end, because you can't push up the pitch. So that's why there's like five attacking / midfield players pressing, and then you have like the fucking defensive line here, and it's just all over the place. So that's why I was hoping Sandro was available, because it stylistically completely changes up the way that we want to play. So it is what it is. But I'm glad football's back, Premier League football in general. International break's okay. I was happy. The only reason why I watched England really was to see like Kobbie Mainoo and how he performed. But let's be honest and let's be clear, the levels of competition, like the games this weekend, you've got Arsenal versus City, which is going to be a fascinating setup. I've just seen then Arteta talking about, he said there's a chance to see Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel at the back against Man City. These players are just, they're faking injury. You've seen it with Haaland. I bet Haaland and De Bruyne are probably available for Man City as well. I've not even looked, but they were available for the international teams, and now apparently they're going to be available for this game. So, but I do know, obviously, John Stones and Kyle Walker got injured with England, so they're not going to be available for that game. But just in general, the level of competition, the teams that play against each other, what's at stake, like it's so far away from international football. It's so much better product to watch, and it's why it's the best league in the world. And if we could beat Brentford tomorrow, I'm not sure about the other fixtures, who people have got. Let me pull them up, because I want to see who Villa and Tottenham have got. Let's have a look. So, Newcastle have West Ham. Again, they're both, I don't think they're close to us in the table, but, you know, one of them's going to drop points, which is always good if they're there or thereabouts. Chelsea got Burnley, not worried about Chelsea. Spurs have got Luton. You know, Luton not at Kenilworth Road, away from home. I think Spurs will probably win that. Villa versus Wolves. You know, Wolves have been a sticky team. So we only just got past them due to Kobbie Mainoo's goal. You know, they've caused problems for other teams as well. I think they've beat Spurs twice, home and away. So that could be a sticking point. It's obviously a bit of a derby as well, 5:30 kickoff. So if Villa can drop some points, you know, it's going to be interesting. Arsenal and City again, like I've just touched on. Be interested to see who wins out of that. I think whoever does win that probably wins the Premier League. I'd say. Let's just check the table, see how many points we're behind everyone. So, we are currently on 47 points, 6 points behind Tottenham. And we are 9 points behind Villa. Obviously, Villa lose. Oh, they've got a game in hand. I never even realised that. Oh, shit. So, if we win, we'd be 6 points behind Aston Villa. Interesting. I never knew that. I never knew Villa had an extra game on us. So if Villa lose against Wolves and we beat Brentford, you know, decent. You're then 3 points behind him, I think, if we win our game in hand. Yeah, 3 points behind him and then 6 points behind Spurs. So, do you know what? I've been speaking about the top four race in Champions League and stuff like it's a sticky one, but we're not that far away. It's a couple of losses and we're in there. So if United can keep this run together, I know we've got a couple of tricky games coming up. Obviously, we've got Brentford in the next one, 8 o'clock kickoff tomorrow, and then we've got Chelsea away, I think it is. Brentford, Chelsea away, Liverpool at home, Bournemouth away, Newcastle at home, and then Coventry in the semi-finals. But I think the Newcastle game's been postponed. So you have to win that Brentford one. You have to win that because Chelsea away, regardless of what people talk about them, they are still a decent team when they want to be, and they have individuals who can cause problems. So that will still be a tricky game. That could be a banana skin. Liverpool at home, people will reference the FA Cup and how well we did in that, even though we didn't really. Like, we did well to win the game, don't get me wrong, but there was still a lot of concerning factors in that game. And obviously Liverpool will not want to get rolled over twice. And also the chase in the Premier League title. So they're going to perform at high levels, in my opinion. I think that game's going to be very tricky. Bournemouth away. I'm not sure what's going on with Bournemouth for a minute. Where are they in the table? Because they was doing really well and then they dropped off a little bit. 13th in the league table. They've won one, drawn one, won one, lost and drawn. So mixed bag at the minute. But of course, Dominic Solanke is always a threat as well. And then, yeah. So it's interesting. We have to win this Brentford game. You have to win games like that because you look at the Fulham game, which for Spurs and for Manchester United, losing to that was like the biggest one. We no, you can't strive for top four if you're losing to, with all due respect to teams like Fulham, who were like 12th in the league and was won 3 out of like the last 10 or something fucking ridiculous like that. So, yeah, I'm just excited. I can't wait to watch United tomorrow. I want to see what lineup he picks. I think regardless of if Maguire's out or Lisandro Martinez is out, we have enough quality in that team to win the game. Ahmad's not going to be available for this one, of course, because he got that amazing red card against Liverpool, so he's not available for selection. But you still have Anthony, who scored. Don't forget, in the last game, that could give him a bit of confidence. You had Mason Mount, who returned and played like 15, 20 minutes against Liverpool. Lisandro could be in the team. Don't know what's going on with Maguire. Wan-Bissaka was back. Did an amazing job on Mo Salah. I'm not sure who's going to be on that side for Brentford, but there's a lot of positives going into this one. It's just, remember, it's the international break and we're coming back. So sometimes the rhythm's off. I think the first half, it'll take a little bit to go, to get going. But ultimately, second half, it'll be like, bang, right, we're ready to go. So let's see what happens. Make sure you all come and join us for the pre-match build-up tomorrow and the post-match review. Yeah, and apart from that, have a lovely weekend, everyone. Real St. Nolan's been a member for 8 months. Up the fucking Reds, absolutely. Starboy says Shreyas. I think it'd be the same team versus Liverpool. I'm hoping we don't rush back the likes of Leacher and Mount. Dan saying Brentford is just a tricky team. It's like we cook or we will be cooked. But Brentford's form at the minute, I'm sure they've been in dire form, aren't they? Let's pull the form up. So, they lost to Burnley, which tells you everything you need to know. They lost to Arsenal, drew against Chelsea, lost to West Ham, lost to City, lost to Liverpool, beat Wolves, lost to City, lost to Tottenham, just beat Forest. So they're not in the best of form. They're scraping wins whenever they do get them. But I do think there will be goals tomorrow. I'm expecting a lot of goals. I'm expecting a United win for sure. So, yeah, make sure if you can, if you're watching this live or watching this later on, you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.